Hello everyone, today I'm making a sweet potato pound cake. I'm starting out with 2.5 cups of mashed baked sweet potatoes, 1.5 cups of regular sugar, 1.5 cups of brown sugar. I didn't pack the brown sugar. 4 eggs, about a tablespoon of buttermilk, 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter, 1 stick of cream cheese, and also 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg, teaspoon of allspice, half teaspoon of nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to start out by creaming the butter and the and the cream cheese together. And then after that, we'll add in the sugar. And I will use a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Okay, I'm putting my cream cheese in. And we'll get this started. Okay, we're going to let this beat for a couple of minutes, then we'll add in the sugar. Okay, always remember when you're beating your stuff to scrape down the sides and the bottom of your bowl so that you can make sure that you incorporate all your ingredients. So now we'll add in our sugar, get that all mixed together, and we're going to let this mix for about 10 minutes so it can get light and fluffy. And once it gets light and fluffy, I'll show you what it should look like. Okay, now that our butter and sugar is creamed together, this is light and fluffy. It's a light brown because we have it's a tan color because we have light brown sugar in it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add in my 2.5 cups of sweet potatoes that I put in the food processor to get it all nice and smooth. And once we mix these in, we'll start adding in our eggs, okay? Okay, now we'll add in our eggs one at a time. We have our 4 eggs. See, it doesn't take long to add your eggs in. And now we'll add in our dry ingredients. We'll add in about half of our flour mixture and then add in the tablespoon of buttermilk. Make sure you turn your mixer down to low. Because you don't want to overbeat your flour. Okay, now we're going to turn it off. It smells delicious. And what I'll do now is continue to mix just for a moment by hand so that we won't overbeat. I like to try to get all this goodness off. Okay, so we'll mix it by hand. Okay, now that I've mixed it a little by hand, I'm going to taste it just to make sure that the seasoning is correct, that I got enough. This is delicious. Now, we'll put it in our pan. I did add a little more cinnamon in because I love cinnamon. We'll put it in our pan and we will let it bake at 325 degrees for at least an hour and 15 minutes. That's what we'll set our timer to, and if it goes a little bit longer, if it's not done, when you stick a toothpick or something in there, then just let it cook just a little bit longer. But this smells and tastes delicious. Now I use fresh sweet potatoes that I bake, but you can use those out the can. If you do use the ones out the cans, make sure that they are not too wet so that it won't make your cake too juicy. Okay, we go get this, spread it all around. We're going to pop out some of the air bubbles. Okay, we're going to put it in the oven, let it bake at 325 for an hour and 15. Okay, just took the cake out of the oven. It cooked for an hour and 10 minutes. It smells amazing. Okay, now we are going to make our glaze for the cake. We are going to use a stick of salted butter this time. We got a stick of salted butter. We'll let this melt just a little bit. Okay, so in this we're using a half cup of salted butter, 1 to 4 cups of light brown sugar, a cup of chopped pecans, half cup of heavy whipping cream, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and some vanilla extract. So now that we got our butter melting, we'll add in the brown sugar. And we'll mix this together. Okay, now we'll add the heavy cream maple syrup. And we'll turn it on low and we'll stir it for the next 10 or 15 minutes while it thickens. You stir it just so it won't boil over. Okay, this is the glaze, and see, if you don't stir it, it will overflow. It looks like caramel. I'll stir it a little bit longer. I normally stir it for about 10 minutes or so. We're trying to get it to thicken up a little. I have my toasted pecans over here that I'll add in. If you toast your pecans before you use them, it'll bring out the nuttiness in the pecans. Okay, we'll put some pecans in it. Okay, see how it's looking? This has been simmering for 10 minutes. I'm going to turn it off, and I'll move it off the heat, and I'll add about a teaspoon of vanilla. And we'll let it sit and cool. And then we'll be ready to glaze our cake. Here is my sweet potato cake. Oh, the frosting is delicious. This is my sweet potato cake. Now that I'm cutting it and giving it a taste, I'll let it cool overnight. Look how delicious it looks. It's super moist and delicious. It is super moist.